because it's 5:30. There we go. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to Finding Freedom Together, episode 3.
Episode 3.
Or third session. Our mission, well, first of all, we are Reverend Wylie Hughes, who is the senior pastor at Orchard Park Presbyterian Church. I am Rabbi Jonathan Freirich, and I am lead an organization called Open Door Judaism, but the two of us together are Accomplices for Justice, and we've been doing this particular conversation for a while, but this one, Finding Freedom Together, is part of fulfilling a grant that we received from Humanities New York, and also supported by the Buffalo History Museum. So we are thrilled to be here with the two of you. Remind me of your names again.
Jerry Middleman.
Jerry Middleman and Ann. It's a pleasure having you here. Online with us, we have Marty Reich, who is connected to us in New York City via our connection. That is, she's in my old bedroom because I grew up in the house that she's still in. It's now her office. And we also have Allison Hyde from Orchard Park as well online, and Chris Casto. We are so thrilled to the three of you who are super supporters of us, and we appreciate you all. If you want to be a material supporter of Accomplices for Judaism, please, Accomplices for Justice, please check out opendoorjudaism.org. And you can see all of our recordings there. You can see our podcasts. We have all of these up on YouTube. And of course, you can make a donation. If you make a donation, then you can join us live on our weekly show as well. Otherwise, you just get to see the recording. So the benefit of being a supporter is you get to join us live on Thursdays for a half-an-hour conversation. Today, our topic is we are continuing in the book, The Topics Raised on Freedom by Timothy Snyder. He starts with a rubric that talks about freedom to as opposed to freedom from. And the importance in this is really vital in that we as Americans are really consumed with the falsehood of freedom from. That is summed up quite most easily in the idea that the only reason we focus so much on freedom from government intervention is because the original freedom from government intervention was freedom to own people and freedom from interference by the government to stop somebody from
owning people. Yes.
From owning people. So that freedom from has in its heart racist roots. That's freedom from government intervention to own guns, which is also related to enslavement. So we have all of that. So that's kind of our framework. His 5 lenses are sovereignty, the freedom to sort of just make our own decisions, which never happens by ourselves. It happens with assistance, right? We're not born free. When we're born, we need help becoming free, being able to make our own decisions. Then the next freedom is unpredictability. As children, one of the things that makes us different from automatons is our parents can't predict what we're going to do. As citizens, our unpredictability is necessary for a lively citizenry. Our predictability is only to profit those who have power. Because those who have power, if they can predict our actions, they can profit off of them.
Right.
So unpredictability is number 2. And today we're going to be talking about number 3, which is mobility. So to introduce mobility, I invited Pastor Hughes to share with us the story of what we might call the freedom of adolescence, or
maybe adolescence. We'll call it adolescence.
That time where we all, as I put it, for me, imagine myself as the protagonist in Bruce Springsteen's Thunder Road, offering the open road to a high school sweetheart and saying, the wings are the wheels on my car that allow me to hit the road with you. And that was certainly an anthem for me, being able to roll down the windows and play music loud on my own on the road for the first time as a young person. So what's your story, Pastor?
My story is I was an adolescent, I do believe, and I got to hang out with my best friend at the time. His name was Billy McCoy, Billy McCoy III. Billy McCoy III is the son of Billy McCoy II, who played for the Denver Broncos. And what William McCoy II did after his NFL days was he worked very closely with the YMCA. And so mainly his job was to create YMCAs all over his region. And so he took me and his son Billy to this site. Wait, because I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So we were based in Atlanta, but he took us to this potential YMCA site down in Tifton, Georgia, which was about, I don't know, 2 or 3 hour drive outside of Atlanta. It was the first time that I was away from my mom in that way. I mean, I was away from her at school, but this was the first time. It was a Saturday, and I'm with my best friend Billy, and we were driving in our car down the highway to Tifton, Georgia. And, we talked about things, what boys do, what men do, the men things. And then when we got to Tifton, Mr. McCoy took us to the side and said, "Hey, I'm going to go do this thing." Tifton is a smallish town, Main Street. It's where the city hall, the courthouse, everything was there, little coffee shops. He said, "You guys, I'm going to go in here and do this thing. I'm going to sort of let you have the run of the place." And he told us, "Remember where you are." No, he said, "Remember who you are and where you are." Mm-hmm. Right over our heads. So there we were, me and my friend Billy. We're walking through the streets of Tifton, Georgia. And this was a time where we were really into like all things Asian. We watched all those American ninja movies where the white guy knows ninjutsu and all this stuff. And and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all this stuff. So we were all heavily into this ninja stuff. And Billy had brought a set of foam rubber nunchucks. And he had a pair, I had a pair. So we were walking through the streets of Tifton doing our little nunchuck thing. And we were carefree, and I just remember being so happy that we were free from our parents and that we were on our own, and that we just felt free. And soon Mr. McCoy comes blazing down the road, and behind him are police cars. And he pulls up, he jumps out of his car. He said, "Are you okay?" We're like, "We're fine. We're okay. What's the problem?" And as soon as we said we're fine, the police show up, and they're agitated. And they are seriously agitated. And we are incredulous. We're, what's going on? We don't know what's happening. They got reports that there were two black men brandishing weapons.
Hello and welcome.
In downtown Tifton. So, yeah. And so, Mr. McCoy was alerted about that. And so he went and found us. And then he assured us that, these are fake. It's foam. They weren't real. And the police were, "Oh, sorry, no problem. Continue on, young men." And we were terrified. We never had an encounter with the police before. And we were confused. Well, what was the problem? And Mr. McCoy said, "I told you, remember who you are and remember where you are." For those who don't know, Tifton, Georgia is deep, deep South, deep South. And at that time, we were the only African Americans in a 3-mile radius. And Tifton, Georgia was in a county that had only recently acknowledged desegregation. Okay. And that was one of the reasons why Mr. McCoy was called down there, is because he and they were trying to sort of integrate the county. This is one of the efforts. The YMCA wanted to put a YMCA branch down there that would incorporate all of the kids, not just a few kids. So it was unprecedented on one hand, but it was terrifying for us because we were kids and we had no idea that we couldn't do these things that we thought we could. All the other kids our age would do it all the time. But for us, we couldn't.
So this is really important, and it's really important. We're talking mobility and social mobility. And of course, I raised this with the sort of American stereotype of what it means to be on the open road on purpose.
Right.
Because my experience, like yours, is also about getting pulled over.
Wow.
Also about getting
pulled over. Okay.
So I went to Middlebury College in Vermont, small college in the middle of almost nowhere. I met my spouse there, who when she arrived from San Francisco, was horrified to find out just how many cows there were between the Burlington Airport and Middlebury College, which is a lot. And I was a student there during the time when the Rodney King verdict came down. Which many of you, well, actually, it seems like all of you probably remember. For those of you who are too young to remember what the Rodney King story is, Google it. But more importantly, understand that it was a time of incredible difficulty between African Americans and white people. And it started with a riot, and ended in riots. And one of my best friends at Middlebury College is a Jamaican American from the Bronx. Ironically, the two of us both went to high school in New York City, but we didn't meet until we went to college in Vermont. He remembers the story unerringly. I have a vague memory of it, and he's reminded me of it continually. So the opening is, for some reason or another, I knew he needed to be off campus, and I went and I got him and took him, and we went and got in my car and went to a movie in Burlington that day. I, addicted to the open road as I was, did not drive slowly all the time. And my mother is holding her head because she knows about all of my speeding tickets at that time. And so I got pulled over coming from the movie theater on the way back south to Middlebury from Burlington. Now, I had experience getting pulled over. This was not new or a surprise or in any way, shape, or form different from me. Needless to say, so I was calm, cool, and collected. I turned off the music, and the officer comes, takes my information. Carlos Brown, God bless him, is one of the most jubilant, joyous, hilarious people you will ever meet. He was known on campus for laughing so loudly that you could hear him across campus. He and our friend group dominated an entire dining hall. I've never seen him so scared. So here I am, this little Jewish guy from New York, and here I am with my, very impressive Jamaican American friend, and he is silent and terrified in the car because, encounters with law enforcement don't go well for Black people. So this is our conundrum of mobility. We cherish it as a vital essence of freedom. One of the things that Timothy Snyder talks about is, for all of our cherishing of it, we do it so poorly, right? That in his recounting, the trains are better in Ukraine during the war, while they're being bombed than they are here in the United States.
Yeah.
That the roads in Poland, where he had been when it's recovering from decades of communism and had been under-improved for decades, are now better than the roads here in the United States. And social mobility. And so there are a couple of quotes I'd like to turn to on this, but I want to, is it okay if we break format and ask people if they have any questions or comments about this?
Sure, let's do it.
So we've had a format before, but I've gotten feedback that people would like to say more or question more while we're in this. And since we've sort of dived into the deep end, any thoughts or questions so far? And we welcome, sorry, what's your name? You were
Lori.
Lori, pleasure to have you here. Thank you. Jonathan, Rabbi Jonathan and Pastor Wylie Hughes, and Donna, we welcome Donna Gershenwald, who joined us via Zoom in the intervening time as well. Thoughts, questions up until this point about the ideas of freedom to mobility, anything that's come to mind by the things?
We're both mothers of Black children. So we're understanding all of this. We're trying to.
Yeah.
So that brings me to a question for all of you who are parents of Black children. How do you present the talk?
2020 made it a whole lot real.
What was the movie? There was a movie out. We had the conversation, but then the movie, shoot, what was it? Green Book?
Green
No,
Book.
no, no, it was a more of a
Green
teen type-
Book. It's Green Book.
The green room.
No,
Yeah.
it was the one with, like, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
I thought it was Green Book.
Isn't it a lesson plan book? So we used that as part of our conversation. And she was a charter school kid, so they read some books at school that we kind of incorporated with the conversations about. We just tried to do that.
2020, what conversations? Any news story that came up, we used it for education. For this, yeah. Really trying to educate myself first to know what I had to educate on. So really
Yeah.
doing research.
I think for me, having the talk, my kids are 5 and 8. There's really not much that I can really say, but I think what has been very helpful is that my children look to police officers as doing as a civic duty. And because they see police officers as doing their civic duty, they have respect for them. And so whenever we see police officers, they're always like, hey, and they want to go up and they want to talk. And my son is fascinated with Paw Patrol and all this stuff. So it's a whole lot better than I could have done, right? Because I would have been a whole lot more militant about it. But because my children are so open and they're so, I don't know, they have such very high emotional IQ that I have to revise the talk that I thought I was going to have with them. And
It's age though, like is it?
it is age, but I like the fact that they see police officers as human beings who are doing a job, because that helps me have the talk in a way that's less fear-based, right? Because that's what I don't want. I don't want them to have a fear of police officers like even I have even today, right? Deathly afraid of such things. And I shouldn't be for the most part, because I'm not doing anything wrong, but yet there's a fear there. And so I don't want them to have that fear. And so whenever we get pulled over, which is often, it's Orchard Park. What do you expect? Whenever we get pulled over, I have to be as calm as possible so that they will be as calm. Because if they see that I'm calm, they're calm. But if I freak out, they freak out. And that's very hard. And so I have not had the talk yet because I'm not ready. Yes, that's right. Right.
Daughter would say to you, she would say, can I just go give him a hug?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm
But then even before 2020, when she got to be like junior high age, there's a shift. And
yeah.
after 2020,
Yeah.
there's,
It's shifted.
yeah, big time. But to the point where we'll sometimes pull over and just watch us pull on just to make sure. Right?
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
My daughter is 22 and still won't drive. In 2020, she won't drive. Uses a good driver's license.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's terror, real terror.
and
I
her
keep,
friends and friends don't get it.
no, they don't.
You have to understand. If any of your friends do something wrong, they're coming after you, not them. So
Exactly.
you have to behave.
Exactly.
And when she was younger, she just didn't get it.
Right.
So that's an interesting point, because I think part of what we need to do is figure out how to help white people get it.
They won't. There's a lot that won't. And
Well-
we put the work into it, and we're still having.
Right, well, but it's a process, right? There's not a switch that gets flipped,
Absolutely not.
right? I'm a work in progress on this. My partnership with Wylie demands me continue doing the work, not stop the work.
Mhm.
And so one of the things, hi, Chris. One of the things,
John,
yes,
cannot see you.
you cannot see me.
No,
Yeah.
Chris took your place on the.
That's
top.
on that's on your computer, Mom.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I'll
No, Chris,
put
you're
myself-
fine.
Yeah, but I guess one of the things I wanted to say about, this mobility and I think also sovereignty is that, yes, it constrains people who are not white, but it also constrains people who are not men. And so there's that. So, how many times growing up was I told not to go here or there, or not to do this or that, and even now, if because people can get bubble lights, if you have bubble lights behind you, you might want to go to a lighted parking area before you actually stop, which is not going to, be a good thing because who knows who's in that car. And so,
Well,
and I don't think that the author recognizes that in what he's doing is that, he's maybe come to realize that as a white man he is privileged, but I don't know that he gets the maleness of that as much as he gets the whiteness of it.
Chris, you are so correct. And if we're looking at what's happening currently, the reemergence, the reestablishment of the dominance of patriarchy in our country right now.
Yep.
Where we're not just talking about freedom of movement, of mobility, we're talking about bodily autonomy,
Yep.
Going back to the basics, right? That
yeah, and even before that, it wasn't great. As a woman, how many women are told, "Why aren't you smiling?" Because I don't feel like smiling. And my granddaughters are 4 and 6, and among the things that we're trying to teach them is that they don't have to give hugs. They have the right to say, "I don't feel like giving a hug," or "I don't feel like, sitting in somebody's lap," or "I don't feel like, that," to try to get that sovereignty over their own bodies. And it's countercultural in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. So one of the things that Snyder does point out on this whole personal interaction, I'm going to share screen and we can look at a reading that he shares plus a reading that Reverend Hughes added for us. So Snyder wrote, I rode the bus in middle school with a Korean friend. He never got to be himself. He was the Asian kid on the school bus, just as his 2 older brothers had been before him. They'd worked out which remarks were to be ignored and which ones had to be resisted. If the school bully made fun of their eyes, fists flew. My friend later played linebacker and went to West Point. You want to continue?
The inability to move without being frozen in stereotype was theorized by Frantz Fanon. In the world Fanon describes, colonialists could move freely across great spaces, whereas people of color could be coerced and traumatized. He was concerned with the mental health of those seeking to pass unnoticed or just to be left alone.
And this is a quote you found from The Direction of the Earth. The first thing the native learns is to stay in his place, to not go beyond the limits. This is why the native's dreams are muscular dreams, dreams of action, aggressive dreams. I dream that I am jumping, swimming, running, climbing. I dream that I am bursting with laughter, that I am crossing the river in a single leap, that I am being pursued by caravans of cars that never catch up with me. During colonization, the colonized never stops releasing himself between 9 o'clock in the evening and 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think, Chris, the point that you made is all the more significant when we add the intersectional dimension of women in American culture to this. That all of the things with regard to victimization and blaming victims and all of the things about the now proliferation of, dare I say, a rape culture as a norm in this country, as if it's okay, and the defense of it, we are in trouble here because, of course, when we allow ourselves to see someone as less than, It enables us to multiply the someones that we get to see as less than.
Mhm. Yes.
One of the ways out of through this is so Snyder, again, to deal with his area of expertise, focuses on European history, specifically the history of the terrible parts of Europe. Basically, the reason why he focuses on Ukraine is in large part because he feels like Ukraine is both the lifeblood of Europe, it is the most fertile ground in Europe, and the killing grounds in Europe.
Yeah.
So it is the place where more people were killed during the Holocaust than anywhere else. It is the place where more people were killed during Soviet times than anywhere else. And it is a place of mythic fertility as well.
Mm.
One of the things he points out in another piece of his, which I was blown away by. So Athens is renowned for olives, right? In our classical Athens, how come the Athenians could grow olives? Why were they so fortunate to not have to worry about food stuff? Because you can't live on olives, right? Because they imported all their grain.
Mm.
They imported all their grain from Ukraine.
Interesting.
The mythical fields of Elysium are the Crimean Peninsula and north of there.
Yeah.
It's all the northern part of the Black Sea. That's where Athens got its food wealth from, so that they could be renowned for making olives.
Mm.
Because, if you've ever been there, it's not exactly filled with fields of green.
No, it's not.
So Snyder focuses on both Nazis and the Soviets. And one of the things he talks about is the dimensions, third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. And that mobilization, being able to have mobility, is about being able to move in 4 dimensions. That is, space and time. But the value dimension in his mind is the 5th dimension. And tyrants in his mind want to restrain our mobility in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes up with an idea that, with regard to how Hitler approached Jews during Nazi Germany, to specifically focus on mobility, which I thought at least is worth looking at. Hitler wanted Germans in the 3rd dimension. No range of possible futures, no 4th dimension in time awaited, and no society could be better than natural selection. That is no 5th dimension. What he means is that if there's no thinking or values, if you're dealing with only survival, then there is no, and natural selection is your only philosophy, then there's no other thinking.
Mm.
And so his 5th dimension area is where we talk about values
Mm-hmm.
and virtues. Any virtue that enabled people to accommodate one another was Jewish, meaning bad. Be it constitutionalism in a state, contractualism in a market, class consciousness under Marxism, or the mercy of Christian gospels. And notice, this is what happens with anti-Semitism, right? Is that everything evil becomes Jewish, even contradictory things.
Right.
Right. So state law is Jewish. The marketplace is Jewish. Communism is Jewish. And Christianity, especially its mercy, is Jewish.
And let's also point out the fact that Hitler got this idea by observing America.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
Okay.
Totally.
He got all of this ideas about and he substituted, because in America, of course, it was people of color. Who everything that was wrong with American society was due to people of color. Crime was people of color. And we're talking about in the 30s. We're not talking about yesterday or today, which is still going on. We're talking about in the 30s, the 20s and the 30s in America. Crime, people of color were the criminals, and anything that they did was un-American.
Right. And for Hitler, couldn't go as far as he wanted because he thought American racists did it much better than he did.
Yeah,
Right? He couldn't do one drop rule.
right,
He could only do one grandparent rule.
right.
Right? Octoroons were just the beginning in American racism.
Right.
You know, if you could be proved to have any black ancestor, you were black.
Yeah.
You
Paper
too.
bag, the paper bag test, all these things. Yeah.
What was the paper bag?
Paper bag test was if you were a black person and your skin was lighter than a paper bag, then you were in. If it was darker than a paper bag, you were out.
Mm.
Yeah.
So for Hitler, it all came down to Jews hindering Germans from seizing what they could as a race. Jews had to be removed from the planet so that nature could be redeemed. This was a hideous version of negative freedom. The freedom was conceived of as racial and the barrier as the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read the next paragraph?
The earth.
Uh-huh.
The earth in Mein Kampf was populous and poor. Germans had to be mobilized to seize land before they were starved out by others. If most people were doomed anyway, went the logic, then it might as well be we who survive and prosper. Nature wanted humans to starve one another, and doing so was the only good. Technology offered no hope of escape. For Hitler, the notion that science could improve the condition of humanity was a Jewish swindle. If there were no scientific solutions to human problems, all that remained was force. With time running out, Germans must compensate by seizing more land. Lebensraum, living space, Lebensraum, living space. This was a kind of imperial mobility. Through the world was covered by empire, Germans should impose their own.
Right. So
It's like Thanos all over again. We'll get to Thanos in a minute, though, right?
we will. We will get to that. But I think one of the things, and you know, from Hitler to Putin to Trump, unfortunately, is too many straight lines.
Way too many straight lines.
And one of the key elements here is abundance versus scarcity.
And the illusion thereof, right?
Absolutely. Right. If there's too little to go around, then the person who gives us access to the most at the expense of everybody else is our hero.
Mhm.
Plus it.
Oh, yes.
Us meaning me and my group, whomever me and my group is.
Or even just the promise of access, right? Not even delivered, because none of it got delivered on.
Well, delivery is not the point.
Exactly. Delivery's not even the point.
And this is so one of the clarifying terms, and this is sort of Snyder, advanced Snyder, is at the end of this chapter, he talks about, and we've hit on it, and I think maybe we can focus the discussion on this. He talks about three different politics. It's really two different types of politics. It's the politics of inevitability and the politics of eternity. And it's very important to understand this because it's not a right and left thing. It's not a liberals and conservatives thing. It's not a Democrats and Republicans thing. The politics of inevitability is a way of robbing the power of the people because the powers that control things are much greater than us. So starting really on the left with Clinton and then completing it with Obama, in the wake of the demise of the Soviet Union, we ended up with a politics of inevitability that capitalism was the solution. And that there were big systematic changes that could be done, sort of technocratic solutions for everything. And then everything would work out better for all of us. We would all be fine if we just played along with this great system that had won out. And we know it had won out because it won out over the Soviet Union. Now, that's not the real story.
Right.
That's not what actually happened.
Not at all.
Part of these two politics is they are based on lies or myths or at least hopeful illusions. how did this play out? It played out by virtue, and we can look at a variety of supporting evidence on this, on the politics of inevitability, that Democrats, intentions aside, have not actually solved societal problems. Many of us live in the great state of New York.
Right.
And the great state of New York has been run by Democrats for a very long time. And still, we have incredible income inequality. And still, we have incredible problems with unhoused people. And still, we have the biggest and most troubled education system in the country. And the second biggest in the state. I mean, we are not solving problems.
Because the Democratic Party, they're all servants of capitalism.
Correct.
All servants of capitalism. So they don't want capitalism to be upended, because now then you see what I'm saying? So no, they're not going to solve the problems. They can't, because they are too locked in with this profit over people mentality. And we're seeing that being played out even now, right? Especially now. People are saying that, well, Democrats aren't doing anything, because they can't. If they did anything, it would undermine the base that the Democrats have been standing on for 50 years, right? So they can't do anything. To do that would make them an opposition party, and they don't want to be an opposition party, right? So they're stuck, because they're like, well, we got to toe the line, but the line ain't working for anybody. But it's the line.
So this is inevitability, in that we are powerless to change it.
Right.
And that our leaders are saying, oh, no, we can't change it. We can't change that
Right.
we've sold our utilities to for-profit organizations.
Right.
And therefore we can't do clean power.
Right.
Right. There was a story just today, a local story here in Buffalo, about the millions of dollars that we are investing in replacing gas lines. Here in North Buffalo, you can see, I know the crew, because they were replacing the gas line on my street, and now they're replacing the gas line on the next street over. I ran by them with our dog. They were like, oh, you got a dog, because they know me from the summer before we had a dog. I mean, so it's, why are we replacing gas lines? Why are we spending all these billions of dollars on replacing gas lines when we could be, I don't know, putting in hydrogen?
And it's so cheap. It's so much cheaper to do that.
Or we could, I mean, we could involve national fuel.
Oh yeah.
In the next power solution.
Which would create jobs, which would boost the economy, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Right. But we can't do it. I'm sorry. We can't do it, because everyone is in everybody else's pocket. Right.
The French are discovering fusion, They just had a big milestone in sustained plasma power this past week. It's not happening in the United States.
It's not going to happen.
The most innovative society in the world, and we are not innovating in these things.
What's that?
We have historically.
We are, but well, we have the innovations. Like, Americans are churning out these innovations, clean power, hydrogen power. We have the technology. This stuff has been patented, but because everyone is in bed with big oil and those natural resources, this is why we don't have proper transportation systems in our cities. It's not because we don't have the technology. It's not because we don't have the know-how. It's just we can't get it off the ground because the car industry is too big. Big oil is too big. So we can't have a maglev train, an intercontinental maglev train like every other city in the developing world, right? We can't do that.
High-speed rail.
High-speed rail. And it's cheaper.
It's 50 years old.
It's 50 years
60
old.
years old.
Yeah.
The bullet train in Japan is from the 60s.
Yeah.
But you would think that they would actually help commerce, because if I could get from here to California, here to someplace else faster, I would go there and spend some money and.
Right, but
You would think, but that's not the goal.
But we have a system that prevents us from doing this.
Right.
California has been working on high-speed rail since Jerry Brown's first gubernatorial governor's term in the 80s.
Yep.
And it went from costing 30 billion to 300 billion because of all sorts of reasons. But you wanted Malcolm X on capitalism, so
Yeah.
I pulled it up for you so you could read it.
Well, yeah, Malcolm X says that capitalism is a political and economic system of exploitation, of outright humiliation, degradation, and discrimination. It is impossible for capitalism to survive primarily because the system of capitalism needs some blood to suck. It used to be strong enough to go and suck anybody's blood, but now it can only suck the blood of the helpless. As the nations of the world free themselves, then capitalism has less victims and it becomes weaker. It is only a matter of time before it will collapse completely.
Which is a compliment to Timothy Snyder's observation, the tiny group of
Have-yots.
are more politically coherent and powerful than the enormous mass of have-nots.
Right.
And they will act to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Oligarchs spend wealth
To protect
wealth.
Right.
Which is why trickle-down economics doesn't work.
Which is the answer to your question. You would think, right, that we would implement these innovations because it would make things better. But that's not the goal of capitalism. The goal of capitalism has never been to make things better. It's just been to make money, to make profit.
Which is why it always needs a rule system,
Exactly.
right? We need capitalism plus a safety net. We need capitalism plus regulations. We need capitalism plus a guiding oversight that says when capitalism goes too far.
Mm-hmm.
Regulations, preservation, people first, money second.
Funny how all of those things that you just said, regulation, all these things are being dismantled before our very eyes.
Right, and all of them require mobility.
All of them require mobility.
Right, we need to be able to go places and do things. We need to be able to help each other get places and do things. We need a system that allows us to do so in good health, as opposed to the Supreme Court deciding that it's really okay for San Francisco to pump poop into the Pacific.
Right.
Which is what the Supreme Court decided last week. And by the way, Chris, on your topic entirely, a male to female vote. That we had men voting for poop and women for drinking poop and women voting against it. So just let that sink in, because of course, who needs to move around in clean water and clean air?
Right. Right.
So the politics of eternity are what happens when we spend a lot of time in an inevitable situation. When we see that there is no change, we are stuck. And then people who get to talk about our stuckness in mythological terms make a comeback.
Yep.
Make America Great Again says that the past is not just better, but as good as it gets. And therefore, there is no future. There is only what we once had. And if there is only what we once had, then we need a person who loves the past and recognize the mythological past as much as we do to get us back there.
Right.
What this does, and recognizing that Snyder is a historian and therefore his answer to everything is study more history, which is not wrong, but it is, what this does is by erasing the real past.
You have to erase the real past.
It erases our understanding of what actually happened. We replace it with the story of what actually happened, which becomes a mythos for us to try to enter into a non-future, because we're not looking to actually make progress. We're looking to just reclaim what we once had. So by getting rid of history, we get rid of the future. We close down possibilities, because at the heart, I think, of Snyder's idea of mobility is our ability to choose a better future, to go someplace better.
Well, that reminds me of a quote that I'm going to butcher it because I can't remember where I heard it from, but it said that, you know, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. Those who want to change history are looking to repeat it, right? They want to repeat it. And so they're going to revise history so that they can use that as a weapon, right? It's the rollback is so much easier to do than it is to adjust for the future, right? To be something that I talk about in church a lot is that we wait for the wave to crash over us before we're like scrambling to do something. The idea is to ride the wave, which means you have to see it coming first. And the best way to see a wave coming is to understand how waves work, is to understand the history. You say, every generation we have a demographic shift. So instead of us waiting until the demographic has changed, why don't we anticipate the change?
Well,
But if you rewrite history, right, you're powerless to do that.
more importantly, young people will not save us if we don't actually provide them the
That's right.
tools to help
That's
us
right.
make progress.
That's right.
Right? Again, going back to the idea that freedom doesn't happen by itself.
Mm,
We are not free on our own. We are free together.
mm.
Right? Our children don't become sovereign without our assistance. Our teenagers, our grade schoolers aren't unpredictable if they don't have access to ideas that aren't ours. We have to provide that access. Our teenagers don't get anywhere without our assistance.
Right.
And interestingly enough, it's a give and take. I have a teenager who drives now. It's super, it's wonderful, it's amazing, right? Especially because he has 5:45 in the morning practices starting soon, and I don't have to drive him there anymore. On the other hand, I got to take him to school today because we had a car shortage in the household. 2 wasn't enough this afternoon. And therefore, I got to spend the 6 minutes in the car with him. I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss the quality interaction of unstructured time to just check in.
But you see, that's also a mobility thing. It's a freedom thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The freedom to be able to spend time with your kids. I was telling a friend of mine on the way over here that I work very, very hard at what I do. But the only people who know how hard I work are my children, because the people at the church don't really care, right? They want me to be where they want me. They want me in the office. They want me in the neighborhood. They want me this. They want me there. They want me ready. They want me prepared. I need to be able to care. I need to be able to talk and to comfort and to console. They need me to do all of these things, but they don't really care about my freedom, my time. They want to shackle me to my desk. And so for me, I have to steal time in order for me to have these moments with my children. And it is stealing because whenever I do it, there's always some pushback. Well, where were you? Why weren't you at the meeting? And I said, because I wanted to spend time with my children. Now, the people who have children, they understand. There are some people, most of them, it's been so long since they've had children that they have forgotten. And so it's this idea that I don't even have that freedom. I have to fight for that freedom to stay home and spend 15, 20 minutes with my children, right?
Well, so there's an article in the New York Times today about the 15 things that we actually learned in the wake of COVID.
Mm.
And one of them was that work from home works.
Yeah, yeah.
That it turns out having the flexibility to pick up our kids and still get our work done is good for everybody. The psychosis that has gripped houses of worship and clergy about time and what clergy are expected to do is a virus. It's a plague.
I love it.
Catholic idea of priests shouldn't be married.
No,
Don't have a family, we're your family.
no, they want us to be model families.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, not for the Catholics. I hear what you're saying.
No, but
Yeah.
Jews don't have that.
Right.
issue.
You don't have but I hear what you're saying, because even yes, I'm not a Catholic, but I church history, right? I know church history, and that was part of the reasoning for priests being celibate and not permitted to marry, was so that all of their time could be dedicated to the church.
I
But
thought
they-
it was because the church wanted their money and they brought in, they were second and third kids of wealthy families, and the church was making
Well,
a
they
deal
was
off of their
probably some of that
inheritance.
too.
There's some of that too. Yeah, there's some of that too. Yes.
Oh, you
Well,
mean,
it's just
you
we
mean
always have
there
to
was a
make
good
decisions
intention that
and we
wasn't
don't have-
materialistic?
Well, there's always layers to this thing. It's levels to the hustle, right?
But the modern clergy,
Right, modern clergy.
the
right.
modern clergy are wrapped up in an endless job.
Yes.
And an incredible conundrum, which is being hired to be spiritual, wise counselors, but in the end, really just being treated as employees, regardless of the spiritual wisdom that leads the organization.
And not just employees, but supernatural employees.
Yes.
Like if we were just treated like employees, I can work with that. Because
You go home,
I can
right?
go home. I can go home. Hey, man. Exactly, right?
But I mean, exactly.
Their day doesn't get that.
Well, that's true. That's,
And that is in fact.
More
the
to your
that
point.
I was
Right.
And
making,
again, that's capitalism,
yeah, there you go. There you go.
which is that
which is
our,
now we have the industrial complex of the clergy, the religion industrial.
our system is inclined towards unemployment, a use of people
Mm,
that is unhealthy at best.
yes.
And that in so doing reminds us of the sources of really American capitalism.
Right.
The research that led to the establishment of MBAs, of management systems in the United States, happened on plantations.
Mm-hmm.
The maximizing of management hours and employee was first thought out by people managing enslaved people.
I mean, I read a book in seminary, and of course I can't remember the name of it, but it talked about that very thing. It talked about the rise of the Protestant church in America and its connection with capitalism, industrial complex, and with slavery, and how the church that exists in America, that's why it's a little bit different than the church that exists in Europe, where it came from, was because when it grew here, it grew intertwined with all of this. Back then there were new ideas, new concept. Wait a minute, free labor? We can have all of this wealth without paying anybody? So what are we going to do with all this money? And so as that developed, churches also grew up and houses of worship kind of sprung up in that same milieu. And so now you have a church ethos that is heavily influenced by capitalism.
Well, all the more so because since the 1940s, right, Billy Graham was tasked by a bunch of corporate heads
Oh yeah.
in the 1940s to come up with a libertarian Christianity
Mhm.
to answer the feared socialism coming
Yep.
from FDR.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And the Catholic movement, by the way.
So, right, this whole idea of generosity being at the heart of Christianity was tossed out for evangelicals starting in the 1940s.
And
But
I'm sorry, we got sidetracked.
we did get sidetracked. Please.
When you were talking about picking up your child from school,
Hmm,
there's also a freedom of privilege.
absolutely.
Because if I take a bus and pick up my kid, we are not gonna be having some of the conversations you can have.
That's
with a
right.
Teenager in a car when there's no witnesses,
That's right.
or the conversation.
That's right.
You hear when you're carpooling and the kids think you're a taxi cab, and they don't hear it, you don't hear it.
That's right.
You miss
That's
all
right.
of that.
Yes,
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
You could, and it's true, and the advantages of that type of private mobility, I think, reflecting on it, are not only unfair, I think they are detrimental to society.
I agree wholeheartedly, because when I was growing up, my mother worked 3 jobs. And because she worked 3 jobs, I was what they call a latchkey kid, right?
My son was the first one. You were probably the second.
Probably the second one, right? I'm 47. So
Yeah,
I
49.
I was a
See,
latchkey kid
yeah,
too,
right.
and I'm older than.
Exactly, right. So there was this, and I just, this, because I grew up in it, I didn't think anything about it. But now as I'm an adult and I have my own children, I reflect on the fact that I never saw I'm a single parent home. I didn't see my mom until 9 or 10 o'clock at night every day. And so my mother didn't have these opportunities to sit and talk with me about how was school and what did you do? And do you have any friends? It was just, she's home and she's tired and eat and go to sleep.
But a lot of times as a parent, the best time to have the conversation is right after school when it's fresh.
Exactly.
And they dump it all, then they go on. to
And
their
they go on,
work.
exactly. And see, I do that now with my children. As soon as they walk through the door, hey, come sit down, talk to me. How was school? How was school? Because I know they're gonna be all over the place, and we gotta worry about snacks, and we gotta worry about food, and we gotta worry about homework, and da da da. So it's interesting that I am doing the things for my children that my mother wasn't able to do for me, and it is a privilege. It is a privilege,
And of course, we don't have extended family.
right? Don't have extended
know,
family.
I was talking today about with Jenny, the smarter person in my relationship, about, I encountered a number of families in places where I've served as a rabbi with Eastern European roots from the former Soviet Union. And the grandparents are doing all the
Yes.
all the pickups and drop-offs
Yes.
and preparing dinner and all this, so that in fact there is quality time with a parent after dinner.
That's right.
Because all the parents are working and it's the grandparents who are doing.
That's right.
So we have an extended family system.
Right.
We have gotten rid of that here in the
Mhm.
United States for any number of reasons. First of all, because we're all working.
That's right. Capitalism.
All of many of our parents are still working.
Yes.
Right, and even me as an old parent, and there is no time. There's no one who's even designated to help families socialize.
Right.
And in that MAGA mythological past, right, when women were stay at home,
Right.
they were doing a job that we now pay people for.
That's right.
Right, women's work is still work. They were doing the job in our houses of worship.
That's right.
Volunteerism.
That's right.
Running auxiliaries.
Right.
Here in Buffalo, they were running resettlement societies. So all of the synagogues here in town were resettling refugees in the 19-teens and 1920s.
Right.
Until the Jewish Federation, which was actually created here in Buffalo, unified the agency and took all of these separate efforts and created single resettlement houses and single homes for the aged, as opposed to having every synagogue sisterhood run them. But we don't have that volunteerism anymore, because the only people who can afford to volunteer are people who have somehow managed to retire.
That's right.
And even
Well, and yeah, so 60 years ago, many white men could support a stay-at-home mother, and
Right.
and even maybe their parents, or and that's just no longer the case.
And we also have to remember that, 60 years ago, there was a 91% tax on the rich. And
That's
so
right.
it's great. When America was so great, look who made it so great. Was the people who could afford to make it great, the people who could afford, right? And so it goes back to that delusion that we are being sold here.
So I want to end on a higher note, because I feel like, so for those of you who are new to our gathering, our goal, we have 2 more sessions in the next 2 weeks. And our goal is to figure out how to use our freedom belts. Our goal is to aim together, take our conversations and turn them into doing something. I come to this work inspired by the teaching of Reverend Denise Walden Glenn, for whom I worked at Voice Buffalo, who pointed out that partnership and collaboration are the heart of all good work. Right? That if I had an idea that actually could change the world and I could do it by myself, I would have done it already and everything be fixed. But I don't. And that the only way we're ever going to accomplish something is by doing better together. We're going to find freedom together. We're going to work together. We're going to do better. And the idea needs to be one that comes from all of us together as well. It can't be my good idea. It can't. So in that vein, I want to share briefly some words from the end of Snyder's chapter, and then let you know what our next plans are. So we know the way back toward freedom, a reclamation of the future. We must restore social mobility and prevent the coming catastrophe. Both can be done, but only through the conscious activity of sovereign, unpredictable people. Fear is not enough. It will not get us where we need to go. We need to ground ourselves in history and science to take a turn toward a better future. You want to read the History Defends?
History defends us against the politics of inevitability by reminding us of the multitude of possibilities at every point. History undoes the politics of eternity by teaching us to learn responsibility from the past rather than resentment from the present. Confronting catastrophe as we do today, we need to extend time, first backwards and then forward, stretching our minds, extending ourselves. Indeed, to see our way forward, we will have to look back, which is embodied in the West African concept of Sankofa, which is an Akan word that means go back to move forward. And
Yeah.
I wish I had caught that, and I would have been able to bring some material on Sankofa, but maybe
Next time.
next time.
So we have two more sessions.
Next time, Sankofa next time.
Asante
Asante sana.
san.
Our two sessions, the next two things are very clear as to where we need to go.
Yeah.
Idea 4 is factuality. We cannot have freedom if we do not have facts. And this is, directly in response to, obviously, we need to know our actual history or the multiple versions of it and accept that our versions are different. And then our 5th session is going to focus on solidarity and oneness, right? So solidarity, that final layer,
That'll be great.
we can't be free by ourselves. My freedom depends on the freedom of everyone around me.
An injustice to one is an injustice to all.
Amen. And with that, so that's our project. So I'm urging us all to begin to think forward about what happens after session 5.
Right?
No, we're in 3. We're doing 4 and 5 next, but I want us to think about what happens after. This is the 3rd one.
Yeah, we just go and choose over.
You knew all the material beforehand. You were advanced, right? You didn't.
When I saw it, I looked up Mr. Snyder and watched some YouTubes and read
Yeah.
some books.
Yep. Oh, she
And
did. Yes, she knows.
So our horizon here is what happens after session 5. How do our conversations, the connections that we've formed here, turn into doing something significant that we all care about? What are we going to learn next? And where's it going to take us? Are we going to be showing up at a common council meeting? Making a demand?
And Kennedy's having a phone conference tonight.
He is. He's having a town hall meeting.
Right. Have you been on these phone conferences yet?
Might as well just watch a movie.
We'll talk.
So, but that's the thing. We need to be effective. And we
Yes.
can be effective with our congressperson, but we have to be effective in numbers. And it means we need to, senators are hearing, I saw something, I think it was on John Oliver, that senators last week in the lead up were getting 1,600 calls a minute.
I'm not surprised.
A minute.
I'm not
We are
surprised.
making a difference as a people right now. We need to continue to do that. We need to assert, but we also need to figure out on what. We are facing an everything, everywhere, all at once scenario, the flooding the zone strategy. It's not working. But we need to counter it with something better. And that's I think our mission. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, my fellow accomplice for justice.
And thank you.
Thank you to everyone who supports Open Door Judaism and Accomplices for
Thank
Justice.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tay.
Where'd your mom go?
I don't know where my mom went. I'll have
Okay.
to find her. Thank you to Humanities New York for this grant, and thank you to the Buffalo History Museum for generously helping us host this. And we will see you all next time. If you have any questions, reach out. You can find us. Our links are all at opendoorjudaism.org.
But I remembered the name of the book. I Googled during this.
Excellent.
The Hate You Give.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's a great one for.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you again, all. Have a wonderful evening. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah.